Hello, my darlings, and welcome back to Conversations with My Higher Self. We are continuing a series of episodes about life path numbers and numerology. This episode is about life path number 3. If you have missed out the first episode in the series, that one explains how to calculate your own life path number. So you may want to go back to that episode if you haven't listened to it and listen to the first, 10, 15 minutes of it. That sets the groundwork. Otherwise, if you're a life path number 3, listen on. Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. For those of you that don't know, my first book, 72 Keys to Manifestation or an Ancient Path of a Modern Day Alchemist, is out. Please check it out on Amazon. It is soon going to be available on Audible. Just letting you know if the audio format is your preferred format for the book. And also a video stream of this is available on my YouTube channel. It is at This Is Maria. Come say hi. And, always love reading your comments. Alrighty, my darlings, life path number 3. Here we go. We're diving right in. I feel like this one very much concludes the first trio, the first trinity. 1, 2, and 3 are extremely connected. They're the cardinal signs, so to say, similar to astrology. That the cardinal signs, they are the energies that begin cycles. And as such, they're formative energies, right? So if you are a life path 3, and again, if you don't know how to calculate your life path number, you can Google it, or you can refer to my first episode in the series where I talked about life path number 1. It spells out exactly what you need to do to calculate your life path number. So for all of my 3s out there, and also if one of your loved ones or one of your friends is a life path number 3, listen up, because this is going to be a really good general overview of why 3s are the way they are. What is their grand mission, grand purpose on planet Earth? What is it that their higher self intended for them? What are some of the challenges of this path? What are some of the blessings? And I usually give my own just take on, what this energy type, what this life path type should pay attention to, things that they should be aware of, so that we can move on to bigger and better things, so that we can have a much more smooth experience and live into our blueprint and be happy all around, right? Because every time you live into your blueprint, you're living the blueprint that you're meant to live. You feel on the path, you feel aligned, you feel good. Alrighty. So my 3s, this is the first number, or the first combination number, right? So you have 1 being the masculine, 2 being the feminine, 3 is a trinity. It is a combination of, essentially, it is the divine mother, the divine father, and the divine child. That is the trinity. Now, there are many variations and renditions of that. We have the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. We have mother, daughter, and soul. We have, and then there are many other trinities to build upon it, such as the Maiden Mother Crone Trinity, etc., right? But essentially, the trinity, the 3, is the first perfect number. And by perfect, we usually mean that certain things had to come together and achieve a particular level of perfection before this creation could happen. So numbers 3, 6, and 9 in numerology are numbers that combine both masculine and feminine energies. And that is why their challenge is always, how do you maintain the balance? And how do you build something from it? Because these numbers are also sometimes referred to as material numbers, not from the standpoint that they're materialistic, but from the standpoint that they have massive potential for creation. These are, your builders, in the sense that they can take 1 and 2 and 3 and make like an apple pie from it. Do you know what I mean? These are the people that can take multiple ingredients and combine them into something that is wonderful. So I would say a life path 3 is a path of a creator. It's a path of a manifester. It's a path of somebody that makes something out of nothing. It is a path of a visionary. It is a path of an equalizer a little bit as well, because you're bringing things together and you're bringing them into a construct that can withstand the test of time. So your threes, life path threes, are very often curious, inquisitive, adventurous. Number three is represented by the energies of air. So very often they're quick-witted. They are sharp. They could be funny or sarcastic, right? They have a sense of humor. Often, not always, right? There's exception to every rule. If you're a life path 3 and you don't resonate with some of it, this is completely fine, right? Because it is a very rich archetype, by the way, right? So like one thing we have to factor in is there are millions upon millions of people in each of these life path numbers, right? And so I'm just giving you a very general overview. Your life path, despite being a life path 3, you're not a copycat of every single person. Otherwise, everybody would, arguably speaking, society would be incredibly boring because everybody would be the same. And while we share numerical frequencies and we share energy patterns, we're definitely not even in the slightest copycats of one another because we all have very different histories, we all have very different futures, we all have very different higher selves, etc., right? So as a life path 3, you're incredibly easy to inspire and you draw inspiration from the air. It's like you're walking around in life and then you just get light bulbs everywhere. You just like light up. You're like, oh my God, I just had this idea. Or like, oh my God, I'm excited to try new things. So like it is the energy that doesn't want to sit still, right? It is the energy that likes moving fast and that can come in a lot of ways, shapes, and sizes. This is the energy that doesn't like the grind. Your 3s are not going to be the ones that are just going to be content doing their own little job or like the same repetitive 3 things over and over and over again. Your 3s are going to get very bored and very done with it very soon. So it is important for them as they're selecting their occupation, as they're selecting what they want to do with their lives, to choose careers that would, instead of stifling this adventurous, youthful spirit, that they could instead benefit from it. So 3 is the Gemini energy, right? In a sense that it is that very intellectual, very curious divine child. It's the energy of Mercury or Hermes, for those of you that know who that is, right? The god. So they're the divine child. Very often, they would be, they would kind of be set from the standpoint of they're considered to be lucky because the divine child is always a favorite child. And I don't mean in this particular case of their human parents, of your human parents. I mean of source consciousness, right? Of God, goddess, however you want to call it, right? So divine children are always the most beloved children. So it is a little bit of a happy-go-lucky life, right? Very often, of course, there are exceptions to every rule. You did not necessarily sign up for a hell of a lot of trauma and drama. So what are kind of like the blessings and the curses of this path? As a child, very often you could have experienced a sense of boredom. You were a little bit like ADHD. You may hated school. You may have hated school for that reason. That is not true for everybody. Again, I have to overgeneralize if we're to move forward with this, right? And as I'm getting, feedback from the collective, I know some of you don't resonate with it. And again, please just take whatever resonates and leave out all the rest. Because again, we're trying to put many millions of people into one bucket and explain all of their tendencies from the beginning of time, right? So it's a little bit of a task, if I'm being honest. So that being said, going back to the childhood of a life path 3, they were, a little bit of a troublemaker very often. They did not want to sit still. They could have made messes. If you gave them paint, they could have painted on the walls and on wallpaper instead of painting in their like little nice notebook. They could have, accidentally broken things because, you give them like a little toy and they start using it in ways that it's not supposed to be used, like jumping up and down and throwing it at things, right? So like they're really hard to pin down. They were like a free spirit. They're like, put them on a horse and send them on a wild merry-go-round ride. They're going to they love that, right? Like they love new experiences as a kid. They don't like being bored. They don't like stagnation. And also that's the thing, when I said ADHD, I said it lovingly, right? They're not, obviously it's not a diagnosis, but it's just a frame of mind where they're like, you may have had issues focusing on one thing because you move very quick, right? Remember, 3s are air. 3s move very, very quickly. As such, they don't want to be pinned down. And also, if they're, for instance, in school and somebody's explaining something to them, they're probably 10 steps ahead already. And so they get bored so easily, and it's like it's impossible for them to sit still. These are most likely your children that want to stay very active. They want to do sports, they want to do dance, they want to, have play dates. Like they want to be around people. They're extremely gregarious, extremely just open, and they kind of wear their heart on the sleeve, and they give you more information about themselves sometimes that you even want to know about them, and they're like instant friends. So that's kind of like a very lovable part about Life Path 3. They make instant friends. I mean, the drawback of that is they can forget about you instantly as well, right? But they can see somebody and be like, okay, you're the one for me, love at first sight, or like, you're my friend, BFF forever. Like they're that kind of people. And they're also like a little bit black and white in a sense that the cup is either 100% full or 100% empty. Like they don't have in between states, right? And so they're like, if they're happy, they're like extremely thrilled. And if they're unhappy, they're like extremely bored and extremely sad. And they're just like really like, so they're not all that well balanced from the standpoint of like, they cannot handle certain things as well as others, right? And so they need to be constantly stimulated. And so in the childhood, they may have issues with authorities, right? Of different kinds, right? From reprimands from their teachers, from punishments from their parents to, potentially causing real trouble as teenagers and having some trouble with the authorities, being taken to the police department a couple of times here and there. I'm not saying that everybody goes that route, but it is extremely possible for Life Path 3. And then because they get bored, they're extremely inventive and extremely innovative. Like you can count on these guys to be like little leaders of their crew because they came up with the most fascinating way to pass the time that nobody ever thought of. Yes, it may cause you trouble. Yeah, yes, it may not be all fully legal all the way, but they're like little movers and shakers and nonconformists in that way. In terms of like I said, they don't usually go for a lot of trauma. Their form of trauma is usually boredom. So they would put themselves into a situation where their innovative, inquisitive, beautiful mind doesn't get enough stimulation. And so very often they would select to be an only child, for instance. That could be how this could play out, because if you have siblings, you always have somebody to like cause trouble with. And if you're, the only one, then you're like, okay, now I'm really bored because like my parents are at work, or like my parents are busy and nobody has time to play with me. And yeah, they're not so great at occupying themselves. They would prefer, like they really thrive on community, because remember, it is not just me, myself, and I of one, but it is also the community and others of two that comes into contact or into this mishmash of Life Path 3, right? So their mind is extremely active, but their heart is extremely active. So they need people around them. They need little boys and girls to play with, right? So they thirst for that community. And when they don't get it, they feel bad. Like they feel like their life has no meaning, right? So it's extremely important for them to be social, especially as kids. And then of course, the type of societal trauma that can come from there is if you're not being accepted again by your group of friends, but not because you're odd, or not because you are unlike everybody else, but they still find, like, for instance, there's usually a falling out of some sort. Like you were friends and then you're not friends anymore because you caused some mischief and you got judged, right? So usually these people are judged by their people of the same age, like friends at school, etc., for being like too much. Like they're often called like, you're too much. There's just like too much. There's so much energy. With Life Path 3, there's a lot of energy, but you would also find that as you get older, specifically with Life Path 3, if they haven't followed their hearts, those energy reserves are going to start becoming depleted. And these are the people that would often say, I was the happiest in my childhood. Like my childhood was awesome, and then it went downhill from there. These are also not the people that love responsibility all that much. They really don't like to be tied down. They really don't want commitments all that much. They want to be in the moment. Like the live now, forget about tomorrow and yesterday, this is their mantra. That's, the good news is that means that they usually don't dwell on past mistakes or trauma. Like, you're not going to see them talking to a shrink all that often, or like, just like a psychologist or like a coach. They're like, which coach? I'm fine, thank you. I know my way. And they're not all that introspective. They're not going to dwell on the past. They're a lot more future looking actually, and present as well, right? In other words, like they need to make sure that there is fun. Like they're also optimized for fun. Fun is extremely important for them. They need to be engaged. They cannot be bored. Like being bored is their greatest fear. Being stuck somewhere where they don't want to be stuck at with somebody they don't want to be stuck there with is like their greatest nightmare, right? Don't like, yeah. Tying them down is not going to happen, you guys, right? So these are the people that thrive on travel. But going back to what I said earlier, if they don't follow their blueprint, if they don't allow themselves to be inquisitive, to be curious, to learn what they want to learn, get a job and an occupation that, nurtures their hearts and allows them to be in this creative, fun flow, right? If their job doesn't feel fun to them, over time, the spark goes out. That like little fire that really goes out for them. And they can get into fairly low energy states. They can get into states where they don't want to get out of bed or where they feel like nothing is going to change. They can get into pessimism actually, right? And if that resonates, you have lost your original spark. And so part of, your challenge is going to be, how do you bring it back? And the way that you bring it back as a life path 3 is reconnecting with your inner child. In this case, this divine child, the golden child that needs to be nurtured. Like you would need to schedule some fun times for yourself, whatever your definition of fun times, self-care times, like things that are you, yourself, and you, so to say, me, myself, and I, right? That are good for you and that you perceive to be fun. Like also, if you don't have a large group of friends, that could be a contributing factor, right? Like get out and meet new people. Life path 3 needs to be stimulated. If you're not stimulated intellectually, emotionally, you wither away. It is a natural byproduct of being life path 3, right? You always need to find new inspiration, find new people to be around, find new experiences, find new challenges, travel around the world. Also, that's another thing. Maybe committing to a career for a prolonged amount of time is not your thing. Be very comfortable as a life path 3 that you're maybe not meant to have one job or one role for the entirety of your life. Maybe you're meant to jump around. So stop making yourself wrong for jumping around. Whether that is relationships, whether that is business ideas, whether that is schools and majors, whether that is whatever that is, right? You are not meant to be tied down. Imagine trying to tie down air. I mean, probably not a very winning proposition. You're probably going to be extremely miserable trying to do that, and you're going to fail, right? So don't try to tie yourself down. Don't make yourself wrong. Don't quench that spark inside of you that is curious, because some of the greatest innovations, some of the greatest creations, some of the most amazing works of art came from a life path 3 that refused to be bogged down by the harsh realities of planet Earth. They just said, you know what? I'm going to put my pink goggles on and I'm going to be an eternal optimist. And I don't care that life is rough and it may be rough for others, but I'm going to make my own fortune. And you would notice that once you make that shift, the golden children of numerology, life paths 3, they would always attract the right people, the right circumstances, the finances, everything. These are the people that win the lottery more often than others. Seriously, I kid you not. These are the people that accidentally get inheritances. These are the people that get promotions out of nowhere. Like you have all of these abundance, right? You're extremely connected to abundance because 3 is a trinity. It's the things coming together to form something that is greater, something that is beautiful, something that is perfect, something that is abundant, something that is not meant to be struggling. So if you're living your blueprint, you're not going to be struggling. You're meant to get these handouts from the universe because you're just that kind of energy. You're the divine child. Divine children don't deserve things. They're handed things, right? And then it's up to them what they do with that. And that's another thing I will tell you. There is a disproportionate amount of talent, right? I'll say this again, with a life path 3 compared to any other life path number, maybe apart from master number path, like master incarnations. You have a disproportionate amount of talent. Why? Because you're meant to be the creative force in the universe. You're meant to build new things. You're meant to change reality, change the physicality. Remember how I told you the material number doesn't mean materialistic. It means that you're meant to build things in the physical space. Create art, create communities, build something, do something fun and exciting, break the paradigm, don't conform. That energy of change, growth, excitement, that is all Life Path 3. That is why they're given an incredible amount of talent. These are your people that innately are better at some things than others, right? Meaning, like, these are your musicians, these are your artists, these are your dancers, these are your amazing entrepreneurs. All like they have a disproportionate amount of talent. Here is the challenge though, right? If a disproportionate amount of talent is given to you, then you're going to have to answer for it once you go back to the crayon box, once you die, right? Your higher self is going to be like, dude, I gave you all this talent. What'd you do with it? What'd you do with it? And you're going to have to answer that question, right? And so, one thing that I notice is a lot of resentment. And so one of the biggest regrets for Life Path 3 is not going for opportunities when the opportunities presented themselves, like saying no to opportunities and not following their heart. Those are the two biggest regrets. Like at a deathbed of a Life Path 3, they're going to be like, remember when I was given this opportunity to marry the person, go abroad, take the job, whatever that is for you, right? I don't know, go to school for art instead of go to school for medicine, or go to school for medicine instead of going to school for art. You know what I mean? Whatever your path is, whatever your flavor is of genius, you would know what it is. You would know because it would show up so early for you. It would be extremely hard for you to disregard this and not notice, right? So recognize your own genius and please know that for you, the answer is always yes. In terms of should you be taking an opportunity, the answer is yes. Like you are meant to do crazy things in life. Like you are meant to move cross country or to just take off and move abroad. You are meant to do weird things like, elope instead of have a wedding. Like just do random things that I'm not saying they're bad for society, but they're not the norm, right? You're meant to be the rule breaker. You're not meant to fit into a blueprint. You're not meant to be the shy one that is refusing to stand up for themselves. No, you're meant to make bold moves. You're meant to make rapid shifts in your life. You're not meant to be steady and to be contained. None of that, right? You're the energy of air. You're moving fast. You're extremely talented. You're very often very well spoken, extremely articulate. You are a treasure. So why did you come? You came to inspire the people with your art, with your creation, with your being, with your energy. They are looking at you and they're like, wow, what a happy-go-lucky person. What a divine child. Doesn't take life too seriously. That is so inspirational. And yet they have everything that they want, right? This is not the person that is strictly 9 to 5. You are actually your blueprint is perfect for breaking the mold and graduating from any of those societal quote unquote norms. The Tim Ferriss 4-hour work week was written for you guys. I don't ever give book recommendations, but in this case, I must, because you're here to reshape the world. And although you may not be able to do it on a macro level yet, you're definitely able to shift your own life. Maybe you're meant to become a freelancer, but you definitely don't want to be tied to anything, including probably a 9 to 5 job where you have to come to the same office, and et cetera, et cetera. This is probably not going to be your cup of tea long term, unless that job is creative by definition, or you're doing a lot of decision making or somehow feel in charge and cool and fun, and it's different all the time. For instance, agency work, creative agency, where it's not one client, and you're okay, this day I'm doing an ad for Coca-Cola, and the other day I'm doing an ad for, a new movie that's coming out. That would be exciting for you. Accounting? Probably not. Nothing wrong with accounting. Accounting is probably way better for life path number 4, which we're going to talk about next time, right? So don't step on your own throat, so to say. Allow your song, allow your creativity, allow your boundless energy to go to where it's supposed to go. Don't stifle yourself, because this energy, the spark could it could go out, and that would be your biggest regret, right? When you don't want, like when your motivation is gone and when you feel like you don't want anything anymore, you're just tired all the time, right? It's because that spark is gone. And so for you, it's really, and remember, you're the balance, right? You're balancing fire and you're balancing water. So making sure that your energetic vessel is always filled with both fire and water. And so if you're looking to understand what that means, is listen to my previous episodes that I did on this podcast around balancing the energies of water and balancing the energies of fire, as well as water and fire elementals. Those are the two energies that are making you up. And of course, air is the byproduct of your blueprint anyway. But you need to make sure that when I say that your fire and your water are balanced, right? Your mind and your heart need to be aligned, right? For you cannot just select something rationally. And you cannot just select something only based on your heart. It has to be both. You have to factor in the entirety of who you are. Your logic, your feelings, all of it. That would bring the most out of you. And that is going to ensure every day feels like paradise. Every day feels fresh in you. Allow yourself to get the stimulation that you need. Allow yourself to get exposure to new people and new places. For you, you must travel. Like book travel for yourself. You must be out there. You must be around others, right? That is what would enable you to thrive. And allow yourself to find your own inner artist, whether you knew that you were one or you didn't. This is also one of the artist paths. So you definitely want to make sure that you have a creative hobby. Like creative hobby is a self-care technique for you, whether that is drawing, whether that is knitting, I don't really care. You need a creative hobby. Alrighty, my loves. You are such a beautiful divine child archetype. This is so beautiful. Stand strong in your power. Thank you for sticking around. I will see you in the next one. Bye, loves.